Hello and welcome to Sip and Tip. I'm MJ.
And I'm Zanae.
Today we are going to talk about
budgeting.
Woo! Everyone's favorite topic.
Yes.
So as you may know, if you've been following us, I am the owner of MJ2 Coaching, who also gives tons of great advice on budgeting. I am not a financial advisor, neither is Zanae.
No.
But we have so much experience in helping our family members and helping
Our
friends, helping friends of friends,
Right.
and through our own lived experiences, get out of jams.
Right.
So I've been a single parent and I've lived paycheck to paycheck, and now I no longer. Now I'm able to afford things that I never thought was possible, maybe 10, 12 years ago, because I've come up with all of these budgeting techniques that really worked. And so all of that information I've also put into two publications that I've put out. One is a beginnings budgeting journal, and that really speaks to the single parents. It's useful for everyone, but it really speaks to single parents because that's at the point of when I wrote it and when I've done all of those things. Everything in the book I have done to help me get out of the paycheck to paycheck cycle. The other one is what I found useful to help me educate my children on creating a budget and not getting into the cycles that I fell into.
And that's what I was going to say, because I taught my daughter how to budget, and that's how she was able to afford her first home at 27. And yes, with good credit. So budgeting helps with credit. It helps with financial stability. You will gain knowledge.
Right.
Just listen to the tips, try some of them, see what works for you. Because some things work for you, some things don't.
Right. So in the comment right now, let us know if you're a beginner budgeter, a moderate budgeter where you have some skills but it's not 100%, or if you're an expert budgeter. And those experts in our group, I'm thinking you probably are in financial advising. By all means, feel free to drop your link because somebody needs your help.
Right?
We are all for everyone helping everyone. We want to help people. That's why we do this.
Definitely.
So drop your link in the bottom. It's up to the subscribers and the viewers to choose you. So go ahead and do that.
Yes.
Next.
How do you budget?
Budget.
See, because every month I taught my daughter that you see what you're working with.
Mm-hmm.
See, with her career, she's a social worker, so she's on a salary, not just an hourly thing. So salary is a little bit different. So we work with how much she gets, which times the bills are due. Mm-hmm. You got to go through all of that. You need to know the due dates for every bill you have.
Yes.
Therefore, your bank accounts don't drop in the red.
Right.
It's very important.
And so as a single parent or someone that makes very low income, you may drop in the red.
Yeah.
But there's ways around that. One, I don't know if you know this, but you can call the company and switch your due dates.
Yes.
You can absolutely do that.
I've had to do that.
Right. And so you want to utilize your rights and your abilities to do this to manage your funds, because paying late fees, $35 each month or some companies charge you $35 a day.
Okay.
It's highway robbery. How do you steal from the poor, make them poorer to it's horrible. So you don't want to do that if you don't have to. So switching your due date can help you greatly. Just keep in mind that some companies do have a limit as to how many times you could switch your due date. So you want to be mindful of that. You want to put some thought into what you're switching it to before you actually switch it.
And look into resources that you may be eligible for, such as discounts on your electric bill or your gas bill. It's not just heating assistance. There's actually a discount if you're on some of other assistance like SNAP benefits or transitional assistance. Yeah. So any of those things, look into it.
I say apply for everything. The worst that can happen is they told you no.
Exactly.
A 10-minute application is worth either the no and the resources that come along with that or the yes.
Right.
So apply for everything, especially if you're in that low income bracket.
Right.
And we've both been in that bracket. So we understand the the pride that comes along with not needing or wanting or having those assistants, as well as the detrimental effect of not having those assistants. So take the time out and just really think about the assistance that is helpful or that is optional for you through the government, because there are things that can help you.
And depends on how often you get money as well, because someone such as myself who is on disability, you only get money once a month.
Right.
But if you have a job that pays you every week or
every other
bi-weekly, then you have room to maneuver things.
Right.
It's a lot easier when you can maneuver things in different paychecks.
Right. And so I want to take this time to ask you to like, comment, subscribe, share, do what you got to do, because this is important information that we're sharing with you. And it's just going to get deeper as we go on. We're only grazing the surface. And we won't get into all of the nitty gritty today, but we're going to give you some good nuggets so that way you can get off to a good start. So one thing I have been told by CEOs, CFOs of companies is you need to pay yourself first. And I say, I really align with this, because you as a person get in, especially an adult that is very independent, you get into the understanding that you are working to pay bills. Oh, that is a daunting thing. Who wants to work just to send their money out to bills? Bills. Rent is high. Utilities are high, everything is high, and you don't make that much money.
You have to learn to treat yourself.
And it doesn't mean that it has to be hundreds of dollars. This could be $20 and you go buy yourself a new shirt or a new pair of pants. At one point, I was buying $20. I would go out and buy one item of clothing, because clothing is my thing, a week. And that was because I was getting paid weekly. $20 is not going to make or break anything. But it gives you that sense where you're like, I did this for me. Right. I got something from my hours of labor, and this is what I'm doing for me. And that's okay. The other thing is when you pay yourself, it's also a form of self-care. It's a way you're relieving some of that ongoing stress.
I was thinking about all the times that I would empty my pockets.
Oh yeah.
And stick it in a jar or something.
Whether
I had a jar of $1 bills, I had the jar of change, So, and at one point it got to be so much that I literally had to separate the dimes into one jar, the nickels into another jar, because it was just that much.
Right.
So saving and treating yourself is detrimental.
Right.
I mean, you don't have to go out of your paycheck to give yourself that 20. Go in your change jar.
Right. And so one thing that, for me, I don't use cash anymore, because I'm past that. I'm on the digital debit. I just use my cards. And that is tricky too, because if you don't pay attention to what you're spending, the pending stuff does not always post automatically. And we'll get into that hopefully today. If not, you can hit us up and we'll talk about how you could get that information. But in terms of using debits, what I would do is when I make a purchase, that change, I would automatically go into my account and transfer it to a different account. So if I went to Dollar Tree and I spent $14.54, I don't know, that the rest of that change to make up that last dollar, which would be like what, 40, she's better at quick math than I am, 46 cents, I would transfer that to a savings account, because I'm not going to miss that 46 cents.
Right. Okay.
And so once I transfer it, it's out of my mind. It's already out of my account, because when you do account to account transfers, that's immediate. It automatically transfers in. You don't have to worry about it posting. So when you look at your balance, you already know that that's out of there. You don't have to think about it. You're already transferred it. Okay. And so with that, you're slowly gaining some savings. And hopefully you have a good savings that will give you something back every month. So not only are you growing what you're saving, you're also giving the bank more of a foundation to then pay you off of your savings.
Because some of the banks actually have that save the change option.
Yeah.
Because I think I recall seeing that a lot. When I check my statements, I look at it and it says save the change.
Yep.
And it'll say 3 cents or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that.
Because it's a great way to save without even thinking about it. And you're not going to miss the little change that you're switching.
And it's too funny because I probably shouldn't do this, but I am. Let's see. Oh, I can't do it. Never mind. We have to delete that piece. No, I was trying to show them because I usually have like a change jar right here. Mm-hmm. So I was just going to say, see, definitely change. You got to save it.
You got to save the change.
I mean, if you save your change, when you hit a rough patch, it can actually ease some of that suffering.
Right.
I came across a time where I needed a car
problems.
And it's funny because a friend of mine gave me one of their jars of change. When I counted out that change, there was $200 and something in that change.
And they probably didn't even know that.
Man, I called them up like, do you know this $200? You want this $200? They said, girl, I gave it to you. I'm like, oh, thank you, Lord. Like, that change jar made the biggest difference. So trust and believe. You save that change. Empty your pockets when you get home, people.
Yeah.
Put it in one of them old cranberry juice jars or orange juice jars that you done rinsed out. Man, I'm trying to tell you. I got so many of them.
Yeah. And so this brings us to our big topic of the day. Prioritization. Do you know how to prioritize when it comes to budgeting? Drop in the comments. Yes, no, maybe so. What your hiccups are. Let us know because we will address some of these things.
Yes. And when we say prioritize, we mean to prioritize your needs before your wants.
Yeah. Remember, your wants sometime, if you convince yourself, will present as needs.
And they're not.
They're not.
Take it from a mom who knows.
And a second mom who knows. Your wants are not always your needs.
Exactly.
But we are very great at convincing ourselves that we need these things that we don't necessarily need.
Yeah, like that extra cookie dough thing because they're on sale.
Or something that often, especially today, is the stuff from Amazon.
Oh,
I just need this because I could do this and I could do that. And then you get it and you're like, but you never return it. Yeah, you didn't need it. We like to shop because it gives us that authority. It gives us that endorphin spike where we're just, it's a thrill.
I used to shop so much more in my 20s and 30s.
Yep.
I enjoyed it. I would go to the store just to walk through the store. Mind you, I had no intention of spending no money.
But then you did.
But man, you see something that just, ooh, that looks so cute on me.
And so one thing that always gets people, Dollar Tree.
Of course.
Everything's $1. Oh, it's just $1. Oh, it's just $1. Then you get to register.
$200.
And you're like, clink, 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 clink. And then the bill comes and you're like, where did $75 go? Girl. Why am I at $75.85? I'm like, what is that at Dollar Tree?
I can't say nothing because I am bad. If I go into Dollar Tree or Five Below or anybody's, I'm in trouble.
And so here's two things about that. One, if you know you're in trouble, don't go.
That's why I'm in the house now.
And two, you could set up a budget for those things.
That's true.
And so this is what I do. Now that I'm out of the paycheck to paycheck cycle, I have budgets for things. I have my weekly spend budget, which is just me to blow money. I have my rainy day budget, which stacks. And that's for, anything car trouble, house trouble. Now that I'm a homeowner, things come out the blue. Maybe friends or family need help. That's that budget. If it's in there, I can use it. If it's not there, can't help you because that's that budget. Gotcha. I also have budgets for my children. So whether it's, their rainy day or, sometimes they have a hard week and they're like, they have their budget to then use. And they don't have to do anything for that budget to grow. Sometimes they don't use it. Like most of the pandemic, they haven't used it because we've been doing free stuff in the house. I will buy board games. I will buy these things out of my rainy day fund, and theirs has been growing. So they can do whatever they want with their rainy day fund. Outside of, wacky stuff. But they can do what they want to help relieve their stress and their whatever they're going through with their rainy day fund, same as me.
And then when COVID's over and they can go out,
right,
they have more money in that fund to go to the movies with their friends.
At this point, they'll probably have enough money to take a vacation.
I know.
But it's just, again, when you're outside of that paycheck to paycheck cycle, even if it's $1 a week, $1 a month, you're growing that fund. And especially when my children were younger, I would bring them to Dollar Tree, and they would have a ball in Dollar Tree. I would give them $5 and let them run rampant. Younger children do not understand how much Dollar Tree has helped a single parent. Because before it was like Bradley's, but everything was like $10, $5, like over $1. So they could get 5 things when you're a preschooler. That's a lot.
Yeah.
And $5 worth of stuff, absolutely go for it. Whatever you want, get it.
One of my favorite things to do was to go to the thrift stores.
Yeah.
Especially if they have those tags where it's either green tag, red tag, orange tag, and all that. And whichever day it was, that tag coincided with that day. And sometimes they had 50-cent days.
Right.
Oh my God. You need to look for those types of deals, people.
Right.
Because that brings a lot of stuff as well. My daughter never knew we were poor.
Right. And so one thing I do want to instill is for parents, if you give your child a budget and you bring them to the store, if they have a rainy day budget, and you know how children are, they want everything. So from the grocery store to the clothing store, whatever the case may be, you don't have the funds to buy it because you only allotted so much money for their school clothes, for their whatever it is.
Right.
And your child comes up with this toy of the week, and you're like, I did not budget for this, but you don't want to tell them no. You tell them, well, you have X, Y, and Z dollars in your savings account or your account, your spending account, whatever you want to label it.
Or your piggy bank.
Right. My children have a savings account which they cannot touch, and they have their rainy day fund. So I tell them, you have X, Y, and Z dollars in your rainy day fund. Do you want to spend that money on that? One child often will be like, yes, spend it all. It's like the casino for him. He's like, yes, give it to me now. And then the other child I have, she's like, I gotta spend my money? No, I don't want it. Again, 2 different perspectives on budgeting, but it gives them the choice of what they want to do. And it instills the opportunity for them to make financial decisions, which will teach them things later in life. So doing that will not only help you budget, but it will also help them understand the value of $1.
Yes. And that's very important with these children today, because they seem so entitled and feel that whatever they ask for, they should get.
Right. And so another thing for our parents, if you do give your children an allowance, or for me, it's really like birthday, holidays, when they get money from friends, family, anybody, they know that a percentage, I always do 10%. 10% of whatever you get goes into your savings, not your rainy day, your savings. Okay. Then 20% goes into your rainy day. And then the other 70%, you spend however you want. So that way they're not just blowing money, and it's almost like a payday check. This is how you should max out your money. So that way you're not just spending it all at once, and you're not like, oh, well, I should have spent it on this, and I should have done this, and you still have money.
And the way you did that, you made it so that they could see that you need to put money in different places.
Right.
You just can't say, oh, I want this.
Right.
And then all your money's gone. You're showing them different ways to save and how to spend, but spend sparingly.
Right. Right. So in the comments, let us know what tips you have for saving. Maybe something we haven't said yet, or something that you really resonated with that we have said so far.
Because kids get money all the time.
All the time.
All the time. Whether it's an uncle that comes by and gives you 50-cent pieces or a $20 bill. Right. Or whether it's you lost a tooth and the tooth fairy, quote unquote, gave you some money under the pillow.
Or the Easter eggs.
Or your allowance. Yes, and the Easter eggs, they had money in there too, yes. So kids get money all the time.
Yes.
And it's up to us as adults to show them how to handle that money.
Right.
Responsibly.
Right.
So in order to do that, we have to lead by example. And that shows that we aren't just being frivolous with our money. We're not throwing money away on things that they see us getting everything we want and not explaining to them, look, I worked hard for this money.
Right.
I'm paying myself first. Then the bills get paid.
Right.
And everything. See, I never did that. I didn't understand the pay yourself first option.
Yeah.
I always paid my bills first and foremost.
Because that's what you're taught. Right? You're taught to pay your bills first, but
and then everything's
you're
gone.
Miserable.
Right. And then everything was gone.
Right.
So I was like, started saying, well, I'll pay the main bill first, which is the rent. Right. Because, you can't nobody, you know what I'm saying? You got to have the rent. And I always put money away for gas or bus pass or whatever, whichever way it was.
Right.
And then the rest of that, I knew that I had to pay a light bill. So I take out a portion of that. Okay. And depending on how much that light bill is, I don't have to pay the whole bill. If I think that I can manage it next month, then pay a portion of it. You don't always have to just shell out all of your money at the one time. Try really hard to stay focused, pay attention to what money you have, what bills you have.
Right.
And do it accordingly, because you don't want to be drowned in debt.
And for people that are working and that get paid more than once a month, pay a portion here at this check, a portion at this check, so you're not always left broke.
Exactly.
I used to pay all, like, my rent in the first check, be broke after that.
Yep.
2 weeks later, pay all my utilities and all the other bills, be broke after that.
That was me.
That is daunting. So paying piece by piece, so pay half of your rent, half of your utilities in the first bill, on top of doing the same thing the first paycheck, on top of doing that same thing in the second paycheck, if you get paid bi-weekly, that will help you, one, see where your money is going, and two, not make you feel like you're always doling out big sums of money because they're smaller portions. Another thing is if you instill some of these budgeting techniques, you have that leverage to be like, oh, my friend called and said that they wanted to go out for drinks. Most people would be like, can I afford that? Instead, you have your rainy day fund. You can afford some drinks. Maybe you might not be able to buy out the bar, but you can absolutely go out for 1 or 2 drinks. And that's the responsible part of being an adult, is you might not be able to buy out the bar. You might not be able to live it up in like Hollywood, but you can go out for drinks or a meal with a friend and not feel destitute and not feel guilty about it. Because those are the joys of being an adult.
Exactly.
So, again, it's just really about prioritizing. Do you need to go out with friends? No. You can do that at home. You can drink at home, which is cheaper.
Definitely cheaper.
Right. And so a lot of people do pregame when the world was open and clubs was going. People will pregame because it's cheaper. The bars are expensive.
Very.
Or even going out to a meal is expensive. So what me and my friends sometimes will do is go out for appetizers. We will split an appetizer. OMG, when TGI Fridays had that $10 appetizer thing, we all paid $10. We were living it up because we did not have to worry about the actual whole meal.
Right.
We all knew where we were. Right. We all were parents, and we understood that.
And that's the key point too. You didn't just say, you know what? Forget this. I deserve this. I'm just going to buy this, and this. No. You said, you know something? I am a single mom. I know that I have this to do, but I also would like to have fun with my friends.
Right.
So let's see what's the more responsible way to do this.
Right.
And a $10 appetizer, you should
unlimited appetizer. You go out, you know,
and if everybody gets a different one, that's a meal in itself.
Right.
I like that idea.
And you get your free Sprite, well, not free Sprite, free refills on your Sprite or your fountain drink. And then when you get back to the house, you have your wine, you got your full bill. You're just doing it differently.
Exactly. And that ties you over until you can do things the way that you see yourself doing them in the future.
Right. You have to get out of that repeated cycle of working to pay bills.
Yes.
Like, if you have to fret over your children outgrowing clothes, over your car breaking down, over, the bills coming in the mail or in your email, whatever the case may be, you should adopt some new budgeting techniques and or get another job or another payee source until you can get out of that cycle. Because let's face it, minimum wage is not helping most people. I can't think of one person that's helping, but I'm sure there's somebody else in the world that's like, minimum wage is for me, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But for most people, especially if you have children, minimum wage is not doing it.
Especially if you live in a high cost of living area, minimum wage really.
Right. So adopting these other techniques, and I go more in depth in my book, and I'll drop the link for my books, but you find your way out of this. You can. It does take work and time. It's not an overnight thing, but these are the things that you have to really wrap your mind around and be willing to kind of get through the dirty part of it before you can see the benefits. And sometimes that means giving up some of the wants you have in order to get the things you need under control to then move forward.
So in essence, learn to fasten your belts, tighten them a little bit, just a little bit, just so that you can have peace of mind.
Yeah.
And gain your foothold in your financial status so that you can start leveling up.
Right. And if you're like me that eats a lot of takeout, let me tell you, you're wasting a lot of money.
Yeah.
And let me repeat that. If you're like me that eats a lot of takeout, you're wasting a lot of money. Me too. But again, you have to figure out where your wants and needs are. And you have to figure out what you can really afford. At this point in my life, I can afford the takeout and not have to fret about it.
That's what my daughter tells me. That's why she's like, Mommy, it's fine. I'll order it. But I always see that we are spending a lot of money on takeout.
And so for us, we are conflicted with the past selves where we have been broke.
Right.
And living under paycheck to paycheck, like
and
our
unable to have the eat out.
You're right.
But now we can eat out.
Right. And so sometimes we get to this point where we're like, did we just spend that much on takeout? Like going to a restaurant or having food delivered to the house, one bill can feed us for probably 2 weeks. But yet still we do it because, again, that's a form of self-care. Well, for me, I use it because I've worked hard, very hard to get where I'm at. And I'm proud of where I'm at. I know it doesn't take much for me to slip backwards, but I'm proud of where I'm at. So ordering takeout, going out to restaurants. These are things I do as a reward for my hard work. And quite honestly, like when I'm out with friends that have not gotten to the financial level I'm at, and no shade, absolutely not, because I've been there. I've been in some worse situations than some of my friends. But if they're not at the level I'm at, I'm not going to invite them unless I can cover them. Because I know what it's like. I know what it's like to get that invitation and be like, well, I can't.
Yeah.
And again, if they're my friends, then I know where they're struggling at because we talk about this. Right. Because I can see it when I'm visiting or when I'm talking to them. I can feel it. I know because I'm aware of who they are and what they are going through.
Right.
Because that's what friends do. Mm-hmm. So if I'm going to invite you to a restaurant or if I'm going to invite you out, one, yes, I will like, do you want to go? And if they're like, I know my friends' lingo. So if they are a little hesitant, I'm like, I got you, girl. Let's go. Yeah. And then that usually changes the tune a little bit because it's hard to be financially strapped and still want to go out and still need to go out and hang out with your friends.
Because accepting that invitation, that pride, that ego, can make you feel like, well, if I can't afford it for myself, maybe I shouldn't go.
Right.
But if you got a good friend, good family member that just wants to treat you because they know that, you've done a lot. and you deserve to be treated, hey,
yeah,
go for it.
And I think, our pride sometimes gets in the way.
Yeah.
As Black women, we are told we have to be strong and independent, but we're not taught really how to be strong and independent. And we're not taught that getting help is okay. Everyone needs help at some point. In different aspects. Everyone needs help. It's okay to receive help, but we're not taught that
in the late 40s, but I'm learning it's fine. So if I can learn it, you can too.
Yeah. And so even with like budgeting, prioritizing your budget is prioritizing your self-care, prioritizing your mental health, because stress, especially financial stress,
definitely
causes you not to get sleep, which leads to a whole nother trajectory of your life, because when you're not sleeping, you're not really thinking everything through all the way, and then you're stuck in this cycle where you're feeling like everything in life is going wrong, but it's because you're slightly off. It's like being sick all the time, and you just can't shake that feeling of being sick and groggy because you're not sleeping. You're stressed. And even though you get a little cat nap, you're snoozing, you're closing your eyes for a few minutes, that stress is making your mind on repeat. And it's usually your worst fears that are on repeat. So you don't get a reprieve. And that's not helpful. See how budgeting can interfere with your whole life?
So learn to budget effectively. Let us know what it is you need help with in that aspect. Maybe we have something else we can do. You wanted to do something with the, what was it, a consultation?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So we will offer, the two of us, one free consultation to someone in the comments. And what we will do is we will review, talk about what your financial status is and how we can best suggest that you go about budgeting. Again, we're not financial advisors.
No.
We don't pretend to be. But we have so many different tactics that we've learned along the way that we want to share.
Yes. And if we can help you in any way understand your debt, help you find a way that can alleviate it.
Yeah.
Whether it's showing you which people to call or showing you a resource that you didn't know you had available to you. We will do that. We will look over everything, but you have to be open and honest with your financial situation.
And yourself.
Yes. And you can't just think, okay, well, just this little bit is all I have to work with. No, because just this little bit isn't really all you have to work with. There's a bigger financial portfolio that we all have, that we all need to take a better look at so that we can decipher it and work within our means.
That concludes our episode of Sip and Tip. I'm MJ.
And I'm Sinead. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And share us.
Yes. And we will see you next week.
Yes.
Peace, love, and happiness.